Hey guys, I hope everyone is doing well, and you hear that? That means it's Halloween! Now that's better, and since I'm in the full spirit of Halloween and have some scary games here to keep me company, what better time to talk about some of the most unsolved spooky mysteries? Mysteries are some of the most interesting forms of storytelling. Being exposed to something that gives you just enough information to get hooked, but not enough to get a full picture can keep anyone on the edge of their seat. In the video game world, there are two types of mysteries: mystery games and urban mysteries. The former can be summed up as a game whose story mechanics are built around and driven by a mystery, and the latters can be explained by something that appears in the game that was deliberately put there by the developers, but not given any explanation to the player as to why it's there. These mysteries are usually the ones that spark discussion and speculation. For me, one of the biggest series shrouded in mysteries is the Pokemon series. Pokemon is one of the most fun yet deceptively deep series Nintendo publishes. There is so much one can unpack within the series, but one of the biggest mysteries to me is the marvelous Bridge Girl. In Pokemon Black and White, there is a bridge you must cross when leaving Nimbasa City for Black City, or White Forest, depending upon the version that you're playing. When crossing, you come across what seems to be like a couple spending time together on the bridge, but as you approach them, the girl flickers and vanishes out of thin air. The guy will then look to his left and say, "Did you see that? She just vanished." After having a reasonable reaction to this mysterious vanishing, holy s***, you find an old lady near the bridge that would tell you that a young girl and her Abra would play around the area before the bridge was built. For a while, this was all the info we had on this mysterious ghost girl. Many fans chucked it up to a cool Easter egg put there by the developers. But when the next Pokemon game decided to be friends with numbers, we soon found out that this was more than an Easter egg. In Black or White 2, while exploring a place called the Strange House, a familiar ghost girl will appear. She mentions darkness, and that she hears her father in her sleep. And after entering the next room, the player will find the Lunar Wing, and the girl will appear behind you and explain that she wanted to give this wing back to the Pokemon it belongs to, but wasn't able to. Upon bringing the Lunar Wing back to the Marvelous Bridge, the legendary Pokemon Cresselia will appear for you to battle and capture. This story brought up a lot of questions. Who is this mysterious girl? What is her story, and what does Cresselia have to do with her? No one is completely sure, but because Cresselia is the rival to Darkrai, this has led many people to believe that Darkrai trapped the girl in a state of endless nightmares. Her father then tried to find the Lunar Wing to ask Cresselia to come and break the nightmares. This one is pretty solid. Other people just chalk it up to the mysterious ghost girl thinks that you are her father and that you need to return the Lunar Wing to Cresselia. And while theories like this and others exist, the first one seems to be the most probable. So some mysteries like the Ghost Girl of Marvelous Bridge can be explained away in some form or fashion, whether or not those explanations are actually correct. But some mysteries are so mysterious that they're not even solvable. Like the Nokia Bay book, for example. Or why the fuck Nintendo would release Paper Mario Sticker Star and then release another shitty-ass sequel to it. Isle Delfino is the best vacation spot to be accused of island-wide graffiti. But while swimming in Nokia Bay's bottle looking for red coins, you can clip the camera in a wall at the base of the bottle to reveal a small book. Now, the reasons for this book is unclear, but many believe that this book was meant to be the main focus of this level. This supposed mission will require the player to go and retrieve the book for the Nokia Elder. I will say that a mission like that sure would have been way more interesting than what we actually got. Now, this is just wishful thinking, but we could have had a mission where we could have found the bottle by climbing the mountain and then hopping into it and using FLUDD for some unique platforming underwater. But Super Mario Sunshine isn't the only game with mysteries left from the development. Now, nothing is confirmed, but it is rumored that in Area 51, the developer Rare was working on some super secret tech for the sequel of one of its best N64 games. Banjo-Kazooie was a smash hit on the N64, which was not surprising as Rare was one of the best developers at the time. Upon 100%ing Banjo-Kazooie, Mumbo shows us a few still images for the next game, those being 2 mystery eggs and a key made completely out of ice. However, these items were shown to be in locations that weren't accessible in the first game. But see, if I know Nintendo fans, they weren't gonna stop until they had some answers. After they tried to connect it to a Nintendo Direct, fans of Banjo-Kazooie tried to access this area, but to no avail, until someone discovered that you could use a Game Shark code to give Banjo a super jump. With this Game Shark code, players were able to access the Ice Key area to discover that upon acquiring the key, nothing happened. Yeah, nothing is unlocked here for the player except a new pause menu that is labeled Stop and Swap. And that was it for a while. Fans had nothing to go on until the sequel that was promised to arrive. Fast forward to the release of Banjo-Tooie, and players could find the key and 2 eggs exactly where Mumbo said we would find them, but something seemed a little bit off here. This led many fans to speculate as to how Banjo-Kazooie fit into all of this. And the most acceptable answer would come in the form of the N64's hardware. It was discovered during the N64's life that if one was to remove a game from the console while playing the game, the N64 would retain data for the game for up to 10 seconds. This led fans to believe that Rare was trying to push the boundaries of the system's hardware to allow players to swap cartridges mid-playthrough, to unlock abilities and perks to unlock the location for all the eggs in the ice key. It was kind of ingenious to try something like this back in the day. It would have required the player to have both games, something that would have made Rare a lot of money, but it would also turn a unique hardware defect from the N64 into something usable in a game. That's kind of ingenious. Now, later on, Rare did confirm this in a questionnaire leading up to another game that they were planning on releasing during the Xbox 360's life cycle. Anyways, I better stop talking about this alleged N64 hardware stop and swap thing anyways before the FBI show up on my doorstep. So, moving on! Now going back to Pokemon, our next mystery follows our wonderful, nice, considerate piece of shit rival. In the original Pokemon Red and Blue, Red and Green if you're one of culture, our rival will work parallel to you to try and catch them all, as it were. Along the way, you consistently battle him and his ever-evolving team. His team will begin with his starter, then grabbing a Pidgey, an Abra, and then a Rattata. However, by the end of the game, the Rattata is completely missing. We see his Rattata in the third battle against him, and then it evolves into Raticate in the fourth. But after that, nothing. Normally, this would be choked up to just a simple drop-off in the storage system, but upon visiting the Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town, you run into your rival there. Why choose the place to run into your rival to be a cemetery for Pokemon? This has led many to speculate that in the fourth battle, the player has dealt so much damage to Raticate that it completely KO'd him past the point of fainting. Now for the morbid thinking, I can see where the dots might connect, but for me personally, this was always a little bit of a stretch for me. I just always thought that your rival came to the same conclusion as me playing Pokemon. That Raticate sucks! I always took this as a small story where your rival found a Rattata, just like anyone else who starts out playing Pokemon, and then discovers the obvious, that Rattata and Raticate are almost unplayable in the game. Everyone at some point while playing tried to use Rattata in their main team and then discovered that it was completely garbage and just left it to rot in their storage system. That's how I always took it, and that's what I assumed most other people thought until I came across this mystery. It's very interesting to see where my thought process versus others can go. But this is all just small talk. Everything we've talked about so far has been mysteries and games, but what if the mystery could go deeper? Yes, I'm talking about the games themselves. Entombed on the Atari 2600 was quite a leap forward in technology for games at the time. It was a fairly basic game as it had the player digging through maze after maze, but the catch to it was that each map was randomly generated, so no two game experiences were the same. Entombed was so advanced that even developers to this day don't understand how it was created. Over the years, time has been poured into discovering how the game generates unique maze after unique maze, and what people have discovered is that most of the sequences were decided by the game at the last possible second. Hacking into the game, we can see that right before the player approaches the next area, the game will decide the next row using binary code. So the main code is made up of ones and zeros, ones being for open spaces and zeros being for walls, which makes sense for the time the game was developed. However, while we may have cracked the mystery of the coding, no one still knows how the game was able to fit this code onto an Atari cartridge. Atari cartridges can barely hold games like Missile Command, let alone code this advanced. Not even the main developer for the game, Steven Sidley, understood how the game could fit on the cartridge. When asked, Sidley simply stated that it was just another programmer that wrote the code for Entombed. He said that he may have been intoxicated or something else along those lines and just spent one night on the fly encoding this game. Because of all of this, we continuously ask ourselves the question, what happened that night? What happened when the developer sat down and wrote out all that code? Because of this is the biggest mystery for the Atari 2600. I mean, besides wondering why Atari spent $25 million on E.T. But these mysteries are just a few of the ones that are out there. With each new release, more video game mysteries pop up for us to discover and discuss.
FBI!